Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, when you seek the blessing of Radha Mata, Radha Shyam Sundar, Krishna Balaram, Bal Gopal Govindai, the Singh Bhagwan, Prahlad Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees. So, I wanted to talk about Yamraj today. Yamraj is a very powerful Devata. Who is a great grandson of Brahma, the great grandson of Marichi, the grandson of Kashyap Muni and Aditi, and nephew of Vamandev, because Vamandev was the son of Aditi, also known as Aditya, and is the son of Surya, Vivaswan, and Samgya. Brother of Yami, so Yami is Yamuna, Vaivasvata, Manu, and the Ashwini Kumaras. Is the husband of 13 daughters of Daksha. Daksha had a lot of daughters because he's one of the Prajapatis. He had a lot of children. And that's the first Daksha. And then he also married 10 daughters of the second Daksha. Father of Sri Narnarayan.
Sorry, Prabhuji, what does it mean? Husband of 13 daughter of Daksh and 10 daughters of Daksh rebirth. I don't understand what they're trying to explain.
Yeah.
Please.
As far as I understand, first, when Daksha insulted Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva, and then what happened? Daksha actually was killed by the servants of Shiva, and then because Daksha had insulted Sati, actually, his daughter. So then everybody went to Lord Shiva and they prayed to him, please give Daksha his life back. He's a very important person. So then they found a head of a goat. And Shiva revived Daksha. He revived Daksha. And he had 10 daughters, or he had more children. But those 10 daughters of the second Daksha, who had the goat of a head of a goat, they married Yamraj. So in total, 23 daughters were married to Yamraj.
Oh, so first 13 and then 10.
And then, yeah, that's correct.
They all married to Yamraj, yeah. Okay.
They all married to Yamraj.
And they all daughter of Daksha.
Yes, they're all daughter of Daksha. Now why? Because Daksha is like a Prajapati, he's very important.
Daksha, yeah.
He's one of the progenitors, so he's populates the universe.
Yeah.
And Yamraj, of course, Yamraj is Yamraj, very important person. So this is one of the reasons why he's married so many daughters of Daksha.
That means in our culture was, I think it's from long time is allowing to marry so many wives.
Especially if you are in Kshatriya, like warrior or like a demigod. Like demigod means, they are. Yeah, like that. So definitely, yes, definitely. As long as you have the capacity to look after your dependents, that's allowed. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes, it's crazy, but it is allowed. Yes, it is allowed.
No, but normally we say Muslim people married to 4 women and then so and so. But it's in our culture as well.
It is.
Used to be, yeah.
It is. But you have to have the capacity to be able to do it. Not that you just have lots and lots of children who are then dependent on the state, That's really not good. There should be, it's mainly the Kshatriyas, the warriors, who are allowed to have more than one wife.
And I think in this case,
Mm.
there is a special some needs or that time, whatever.
Special needs, yeah, because they also are part of the um, personalities who populate the universe. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good point. That's a good
Mm.
point. Yeah, that is also
Yeah.
important thing to understand.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
No, thank you for that. So he's also father of the 8 Vasus, including Agni, Bhadrashava, Shava. He's a father of Yudhishthir by Kunti. So she called upon him to come when she was given this boon that she could invite any Devata. So the first one, apart from Kern, was Dhamraj. And he gave birth, or they gave birth to Yudhishthir. Jayanta, expansion of Vasudeva, many others. He is the grandfather of Vishwakarma, Shishumara. Shishumara is one of the architects of medicine, and Swarish Shisha Manu is a great grandfather of Chakshush Manu. His residence is a heavenly city called Samyamani, or not Yamlok. He is the brother of Shraddhadev Manu and the stepbrother of Shani, and his son was Katila. Okay. Samgya, the wife of Vivaswan, the sun god, gave birth to the Manu named Shraddhadev, and the same fortunate wife also gave birth to the twins Yamraj and the river Yamuna. So Yamuna Devi also can be known as Yami, is sister of Yamraj. Yamraj is one of the 12 Mahajans. So this is interesting. He's one of the Mahajan means knower of the Supreme Lord, basically. He knows the spiritual science. So very powerful. These 12 Mahajans are regarded to be the great knowers of spiritual knowledge. Okay. Authorized to properly maintain the human civilization. Who are the others? Brahma, Narad Muni, Lord Shiva, the 4 Kumaras, Manu. So Manu is also one of the 12 Mahajans. Lord Kapil, Bhishma, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Raj, Bali Maharaj, Sukadev Goswami, and Yamraj himself. So it's 12 important personalities. Yamraj is also Dharamvrit. His name is Dharamraj. So it's not just Yamraj, but he's also Dharamraj. Because he knows how to punish a person on religious principles. He's also known as Antak Mrityu. So Yamraj or Dharamraj, as a superintendent of death, has to judge the criminal living entities who have committed sinful activities throughout their lives. Consequently, Yamraj is expected to be the most expert in judicial matters. Although Yamraj is a controller, he's only a departmental controller of a few living entities. So there are other demigods who control many other departments, but above them all is one supreme controller, Krishna. So we'll see this pastime later when the servants of Yamraj, they question Yamraj. They thought that Yamraj is the supreme controller. But then Yamraj explains, actually, no, I'm not the supreme controller. In the Puranas, Yam is described to have 4 arms, protruding fangs, complexion of storm clouds, dark gray, wrathful expression, angry expression, surrounded by a garland of flames, dressed in red, yellow, or blue garments, holding a noose and a mace or a sword, and riding a water buffalo, holds a noose pasa or of rope in one hand, holding a danda, which is a Sanskrit word for staff. Generally, Yamraj is portrayed in a fearful way and is often pictured as black. That is okay. But actually, he is a Devata and he must be fair complexioned. He is a Mahajan, Vaishnava as well. He's very good looking. So sometimes he looks like this. Sometimes he's depicted to look like this. But actually, he's glorious, very beautiful, because he's a Devata. The omnipotent Yamraj is as good as Lord Brahma. For while situated in his own abode or in everyone's heart like a Paramatma, he mentally observes the past activities of a living entity. So he's omnipotent and thus understands how the living entity will act in future lives. So because he's seen how we behave in the past, he has a good idea how we're going to behave in the future. He has the complete cooperation of the Supreme Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart and is therefore, by the grace of the Lord, he can see past, present, future of a living entity from within. So he's got some power. Yamraj, the king of the Pitas, resides in Pitalok with his personal assistants, the Yamadutas. See, we'll talk about the Yamadutas a little later. He has been given jurisdiction on the southern, like we discussed about Agni yesterday. He's on the eastern side. So, see the east, can't remember now. Yama, he looks after the southern side of the universe, or the lower portion, called Patal. South of Sumeru mountain is Samyamani, the abode of Yamraj, the superintendent of death. It is said that there is a everlasting belt of water called the river Vaitarani at the entrance of the Plutonic planet Pluto of Yamraj. The abode of Yamraj is called Yamasadana. Vaitarani is the river which lies in the front of the doorway of Yamraj. Samyamani is the residence of Yamraj. Yudhishthir Maharaj was the son of Dharmraj, Yamraj. Maharaj Yudhishthir's mother, Kunti, had the power to call any demigod. She got this benediction from Durvasa Muni. So she and Dharmraj had, she had 3 sons, means Yudhishthir, Bhim, and Arjun from different devatas. She got Maharaj Yudhishthir from Dharmraj, Arjun from Indra, and Bhim from Vayu. So very powerful, the Pandavas. And then the other 2 were actually came to the second wife of Pandu. I've forgotten her name at the moment. What's the name of the second wife of Pandu? Second wife of Pandu? Madri, yeah, Madri. Very good. At the request of Lord Brahma, Prajapati Daksh, who is known as Pitachas, begot 60,000 daughters in the womb of his wife, Asikni.
So Prabhuji, Karna, who's Karna?
Suryadev.
Yeah, but he's Kunti's son, isn't he?
Yes, but he was like before the marriage of Kunti.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So yes, he's still Kaunteya, but because he was before marriage of Kunti, it was a little unusual.
But
Right.
but I think she was challenging or something. She got a,
Ah,
yeah, and she did my mistake, and it's happened,
that's
and
right. Yeah, she was thinking this
it
this,
happens or not.
this happens or not, and it happened.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
I
correct.
remember now.
That's
Yes,
correct. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. So he had 60 daughters, Daksha. All the daughters were very affectionate towards their father. 10 of the daughters were given in charity to Dharamraj. So then this is the 10. Then there must have been 13 beforehand. The names are Bhanu, Lamba, Kakud, Yami, Vishwa, Sadhya, Marut, Vati, Vasu, Muhurta, Sankalpa. The Lord is the source of the Brahmins and the Vedic knowledge. They come from the mouth of the Supreme Lord, from the hands, the arms, the Kshatriyas, and the body strength comes. The Vaishya and the expert knowledge in productivity and wealth come from his thighs, and the Shudras, who are outside of Vedic knowledge, come from his feet. Greed is generated from the lower lip of the Lord. Affection from his upper lip, bodily luster from his nose, animalistic lusty desires from his sense of touch. Yamraj comes from his eyebrows. So eyebrows is the source of Yamraj. And eternal time comes from his eyelashes. So again, this is a little hard for us to comprehend because this is really knowledge which is sure completely hard to understand. But we know these four are very common. This is what we understand. This is where the sources of the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra are. But then we also have this information that Yamraj comes from his eyebrows. Before going to the place of Yamraj, the living entity accepts Jara, old age, the sister of Yamraj. One is subjected to the influence of the Yavanraj and his sister due to impious activities. So only if we have become sinful in our lives will we get this punishment. Yamraj is a great devotee of the Lord. He likes to be invited to kirtans and sacrifices by the pure devotees who are constantly engaged in devotional service of the Lord. He's one of the greatest Vaishnavas, devotee of the Lord. He's the Mahajan. Thus, the great sages, headed by Shonak and others, invite Yamraj to attend the sacrifices. So they invited Yamraj to attend the sacrifice performed at Naimisharanya. This was good for those who did not want to die. So this, what happened after Krishna left the planet, the sages, they knew Kali was coming. So they performed a yajna for 1,000 years to stop the influence of Kali Yuga. So they were able to live for a long time because they also invited Yamraj to the sacrifice. And at that time, Sutta Goswami spoke the Bhagavatam. They did a lot of yajna. Yavan is a servant of Yamraj. The Yamdutas are the assistants or messengers of Yamraj. When Yamraj and his assistants take a living entity away to a place of judgment, the life, air, and desires, being followers of the living entity, also go with him. When the living entity and the life air are gone, the lump of matter produced of 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, is rejected and left behind. The living entity then goes to the court of judgment, and Yamraj decides what kind of body he is going to get next. This process is unknown to modern scientists. Hmm. Every living entity is responsible for his activities in this life, and after death he is taken to the court of Yamraj, where it is decided what kind of body he will take next. Although the gross material body is left, the living entity and his desires, as well as the resultant reactions of his past activities, go on. So the body will be left, the soul will leave, the soul will be going, but with the soul are the desires, icha of the soul. It will continue because that is part of the soul, and karma. Our karma we will take with us. It is Yamraj who decides what kind of body one gets next in accordance with one's past actions. Yamraj is deputed by the Lord to a particular planet, some hundreds of thousands of miles away from the planet of Earth, to take away the corrupt souls after death and convict them in accordance with their respective sinful activities. It is not that the Lord is cruel by doing this, but this is really to assist the living entity to get rid of his or her sinful reactions. Because what happens at the time of uh, being punished is you get rid of the sins and then you can start afresh again. So, and hopefully live a life where you're not committing any sin. So one of the purposes of Yamraj is also to assist the living entities on the path of Dharma. So when this punishment takes place, there's also some um, assistance given to the living entities to become righteous. Yam is closely associated with Agni in the Rig Vedas. Agni is both Yam's friend and priest. In the Rig Vedas, Yam is the king of the dead. So Yamraj is close to Agni because at the time when the living entity, when the body is dead, Agni comes and destroys the body. But Yam is the king of the dead, and one of the two kings that humans see when they reach heaven, the other being Varun Dev. He also becomes associated with Antak, the ender, Mrityu, death, Niti, disease, and sleep. Yamraj has very little time to take leave from his responsible office of punishing the wrongdoers. There are more wrongdoers than righteous men. Therefore, Yamraj has to do more work than other demigods who are also authorized agents of the Supreme Lord. So Yamraj is a very busy Devata. There's a lot of responsibility on his shoulders that the Lord has given him. However, he wants to preach the glories of the Lord. Therefore, by the will of the Lord, he was cursed by Manduka Muni to come into the world in the incarnation of Vidur and work very hard as a devotee. So this is very interesting. So, because Yamraj, although he wants to bring people to the righteous path, it's not easy, of course, and especially when the people have been very sinful. But when he came, so because he wants to always glorify the Lord, he also came to earth as Vidur, as Vidur. So he's an incarnation of Yamraj. And there are many pastimes. So how are we doing time-wise? I think let's continue this tomorrow. There's quite a bit there. So any questions, any comments? Yamraj is also quite challenging to understand. There's quite a lot of history behind Yamraj.
So he was the original with in previous he was a Vidur, yeah.
He came as Vidur as well as Yudhishthir. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. He was cursed as Vidur because what happened? This Manduka Muni, he was great sage, but he made one mistake. What was that mistake? He made one mistake in his life. No, he made one little mistake. And for that mistake, Yamraj punished him. He was punished in quite a severe way. And Manduka Muni, he was a very powerful sage. And when he saw that punishment which Yamraj gave him, he cursed Yamraj that you will become a Shudra in your next life. In your next life. Or you will become a Shudra on earth. So this is why Vidur, he was born as a Shudra because his mother was
Dasi, yeah.
maidservant. But he was very learned. Vidur was one of the most learned persons in the Mahabharata. Because he's Yamraj.
So that time who's working as a Yamraj?
Yeah, he deputized his role. He deputized his role to his assistants, Chitragupt. There would be other demigods who would also take responsibility at that time.
Okay.
He has a lot of servants, Yamraj. Lot of servants. So,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Is it I'm sorry, but I'm getting mixed up. Is it Yamraja crafts Madhukunta Muni or Madhukunta Muni crafts Yamraja?
Yes, Madhuka Muni cursed Yamraj because Madhuka Muni was given a punishment for some small mistake by Yamraj.
And we don't know what it was.
I think it was it was a very small mistake. It was maybe, I might have mixed this up, but maybe he didn't wash Tulsi before offering to the Lord, or something very small mistake, you know.
All right.
And he was punished in a not in a very nice way. So Mandukas cursed Yamraj, right? You know, you are gonna suffer now. And as Vidur, he suffered. As Vidur, he suffered.
He suffered, yeah. Vidur, he suffered. That's right, yeah.
So,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
oh, okay, yes. So the curse, so what the mistake he made when he was a little boy, Paduka, when he was a small child, he would pierce the eyes of the ant. And for that reason, Yamraj, what did they do to him? He was, the punishment was very severe. But Madhuka said to Yamraj, I was a little boy. I didn't know any better. I was innocent. I didn't realize I was doing something bad, but your punishment was just too much. The punishment was like he was, I think he was tortured by spears or something like that, you know. So it was quite a heavy punishment. And he said to Yamraj, this punishment was far too much. So I curse you. So
right.
Something like that.
Thank you.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Yamraj ki jai. Let's hope we don't meet Yamraj. Hare Krishna.